Well, this week, an escalating war of words between Saskatchewan and Alberta. It's been a really interesting fight, and this began when Saskatchewan announced it was banning Alberta-plated vehicles from Saskatchewan work sites, namely government construction sites on highways, for example, that Alberta-plated vehicles for contractors weren't being allowed on those workplaces unless they changed their license plates. Well, Saskatchewan says it was doing this because Alberta had banned Saskatchewan-plated vehicles from its work sites, government work sites. But the government here in Alberta says that's just not true. And the government's threatened to take Saskatchewan to court unless it changes its ban. So it's this escalating war of words. And it's interesting because Brad Wall, the Premier of Saskatchewan, may have begun this as a way of making life more difficult for Notley, Premier Notley in Alberta, because the two have been fighting over trade issues for a couple of years. But in fact, it's given a gift to Notley because she's often accused by the opposition here of not doing enough to stand up for Alberta, and they point very often to Brad Wall as an example of a premier who stands up for his province. Well, now you've got Notley standing up for Alberta against Brad Wall. And that's making life a bit more difficult these days for the UCP, United Conservative Party, when they point to Brad Wall as an example of a premier who's doing things right, when in fact he's actually got this trade war started with Rachel Notley. So this is giving Notley a chance to show Albertans that she wants to stand up for the province, particularly against Saskatchewan. So it's going to be interesting because the government here has threatened Saskatchewan to take it to court within the next week unless that ban is lifted. And so this war of words, it appears, will continue to escalate and make things even more interesting. I'm Graham Thompson with the Edmonton Journal.